Chris Duarte from Oregon, an NBA ready prospect? Possibly, but he does come with his strengths and weaknesses. I'm Kendall, this is John. We're here at the Y Ball Starters, and we're looking at Chris Duarte's NBA draft profile. So, kicking it off, Chris Duarte had a really good senior year at Oregon University. He made it to the Sweet 16, had a fantastic tournament, averaged 17 points a game this year. Really good. Averaged more than 5 points per game extra on top of his junior season at Oregon. This guy was a JUCO transfer, came in, and it really exceeded expectations this past year. And especially in the NCAA tournament, he played really, really well. 6'6 guy, 190. And I think he's got a lot of NBA potential. Really good defender. He shot 42.4%, I believe, from the three-point line this year. So he's got a lot of NBA qualities about him. Is on the older side though, 24 years old, and does lack some of that elite athleticism that you would like to see. But I think that there's quite a few teams, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later. I think there's quite a few teams that Chris Duarte could fit on. But John, what were some of your observations from Chris Duarte when you were watching him play at Oregon?
Yeah, I think he really stood out. I think he developed over the year a lot. And that can be said for a lot of the players in Oregon. Oregon really got better as the season went along. But Duarte kind of strikes me as a dude that can heat up, kind of a microwave bench type of player. He's someone that can really catch fire with his shot, and he's a good defender for sure. Not quite as athletic. I think part of it has to do with a little bit with the age. But I mean, someone that I think can impact the team right away and really provide a boost for a team, even as early as his rookie season.
Yeah, definitely. I think that he would fit in really well. Personally, and we're going to talk about this with kind of where he fits in, where he's projected to go here in the first round, because he is a projected first round pick. Depending on which site you look at, it kind of varies. I've seen him, we see him anywhere between 17 through like about, 25, 26.
28's the lowest
28.
I saw. It seems a little low for him.
Right.
I've seen him as high as, I think 13, 14. And then, yeah. So somewhere post-lottery first-round pick is what it appears.
Yeah, and I agree, John. I think that he would fit in really well on a playoff team. I think that he would fit in well with a team that's got veterans on it. Him being an older player, he's going to be more mature. So he's going to have those qualities already to him, his personality, and then his game as well. Being able to be that three-point shooter so solid. That's from everything that I've read and from what I've watched, that seems to be what NBA teams really like from their scouting of him, is that he is really NBA ready there. So if you're a fan of Golden State, I know that that's a little bit high considering that their first pick is 14, but I would not be surprised if Chris Duarte could possibly land there. And I think that is at the top. I don't think that that's probably not where he's going to end up going, but I think if you're Golden State fan, this is a guy that you would want on your team. He's NBA ready. He shoots the ball really, really well. He'd fit in really well with Clay and Steph, be that bigger guy, play the three there. Potentially, especially if Golden State decides to trade Wiggins, he could step in, fill Wiggins' shoes, and just kind of that younger, fresher mentality there. And I think that he could bring a lot of things that Wiggins does anyways to the game. Not saying that he's as good as Andrew Wiggins by any means, but I think that some of the qualities he could bring there. I think, too, I saw, Los Angeles Lakers was one of the teams that we saw. Yeah. A great fit there, too. Kyle Kuzma, except he can actually play basketball unlike Kyle Kuzma, but...
It's tough. I know there's some good teams, some good fits for him in that range. Another team I've seen that's in the range at least is New York, and I think just watching them in the playoffs, they could use another a little bit more offense. Obviously, the defense it just appeared not to be the issue. They just couldn't buy a bucket against most of the games against Atlanta. So they're another team in the range. You've seen Denver in the range, not a great fit, honestly. They have a lot of guards on their roster. In the range, Philly. I mean, Philly's another pretty good fit, I feel like, just because another team that spacing appears to be an issue. Might get resolved this year if they end up trading Ben Simmons, but there's going to be a lot in flux there. And honestly, Chris Duarte is a player that just anywhere in that range, having an impact player on the board as a rookie just means another likelihood that pick's going to get traded.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Philadelphia would be a really good landing spot for Chris Duarte. I kind of don't think he's gonna fall to 28.
I don't either.
I think he's got too many NBA ready skills that a team who could make the playoffs or is already in the playoffs this year. I think that you're gonna see a team come pick him up before then. Um,
And he was the leader on his team, which is
yeah,
nothing
yep.
to be taken for granted. A lot of times not discussed just in the draft process is whether or not a player leads their team. And Duarte was the leader of Oregon, who was an Elite Eight team, and there is something to be said about those intangibles right there.
Yeah. Well, I think another team, I can't remember if you said this already, is Memphis. I think
Oh
Memphis
yeah,
could be a good landing spot for him. Playing there with Jaren Jackson and Ja Morant and
Ja.
yeah, that guy. This is why we're not doing a draft profile of Ja Morant. This is why we're doing a draft profile of Chris Duarte. But I think a Chris Duarte would be a really good piece there with the Memphis Grizzlies. Fit in, be another shooter. I think that they could have benefited from some more spacing. A guy who can dribble, make a play off the dribble, get to the basket. Another solid defender there for a kind of a younger Memphis squad. He could probably play kind of Kyle Anderson's position, except be more dynamic offensively. So I think Memphis is another good spot, but kind of where do you think ultimately he's going to end up, John? If you kind of had to predict right now.
yeah. I'm thinking somewhere like Washington 15 kind of strikes to me. I could see that. New York at 19 or 21 makes a lot of sense. I really think the Lakers at 22. A lot of these teams in this range don't necessarily need guards. So, I mean, just Memphis doesn't necessarily need a guard. Washington, obviously, with Westbrook and Beal, depends on what they do, but they don't necessarily need a guard. Atlanta, I mean, they have Trae Young. I mean, they have Bogdanovich and Herter. There's a lot of guards.
He would probably play Bogdanovich is at the 3, right?
Bogdanovich at
Is it
2, I
two?
think. I'm not entirely sure,
Trying to
but
think of the three.
I
Is
think the
that
Lakers
Hunter?
makes the most, and they have Hunter and Collins and Capella. So
Well,
they
Collins
have
is
a lot.
4. Yeah, I
So,
think
I
Hunter's
mean,
are 3.
I think the Lakers make a lot of sense. They don't have, especially on their bench, and it really was evident after LeBron James's injury when Davis was hurt. They don't have much scoring off that bench. All of their offense is run through LeBron and Anthony Davis, and they don't have a tertiary guy to run that offense, especially if they lose Dennis Schroeder this offseason. So I think Duarte makes a lot of sense. That's someone you can run your offense through, and you're not scared. I mean, we've all seen the end of the regular season and the playoffs. I mean, they put the ball in Kyle Kuzma's hands, and it's some days it's good, and some days it's a train wreck, and you're not really sure which one. But with Duarte, you're not going to really see that.
I think we're usually pretty sure which one it is with Kyle Kuzma at this point, and it's not the
That's
first.
true. That's true.
So maybe if you're a Laker fan, then you should really be wanting Chris Duarte. Like, really wanting Chris Duarte. That should be who you're rooting for. That's
Especially
who.
at 22.
Yes,
That's a steal.
absolutely. That is a steal. So we'll see where he ends up. Again, a guy who's really ready for the pros right now. I think that he's going to make an impact, especially on a playoff-ready team. I could see him stepping up, and we've seen this year in the playoffs a lot of young guys step up, and I think that Chris Duarte, based on what I saw, I mean, I'm an Oregon Ducks fan, so I watched pretty much all their games, and I was really impressed by Chris Duarte.
Yeah.
He's a guy who I would love to have on my Trailblazers, but we don't have a draft pick, so it's kind of a moot
And
point.
he looks like an NBA player out there. Like, you watch him play, and, like, you could see that guy playing in the league.
I think a lot of that's his maturity too, just being 24. So we'll see where Chris Duarte goes. Stay tuned though, for we'll have another installment of Pacific Northwest Draft Profiles coming up soon. And please subscribe and like this page. Thank you.
Peace.